Hey guys, Walt Dickinson here. Another week, another Wicked Weed beer. Actually 2 beers this week, but this is a very, very special week for us and a really important beer. This is dark aged, barrel aged Imperial Stout. This beer has been with us since we started Wicked Weed. It was actually the 3rd beer we ever produced at the brewery. Luke and I felt that this is just the best expression of what you can do in a whiskey barrel. So when designing this recipe, we wanted to create a beer that kind of spoke to the balance that we like to exhibit as a brewery. We wanted it to be dry, for the style at least, which for us is much drier than I think a lot of the other commercial options that are out there. This beer finishes very dry. It's got a lot of rich malt character, tons of complex sugars. We're working with honey and brown sugar and dextrose, and working really hard to make sure we're building in kind of that back end caramely layered sweetness, but on top of that, those big coffee and chocolate notes that you get when building in a beer like this. That paired with a really nice whiskey barrel. And so for us, sourcing the whiskey barrel is really important. When producing this beer, we're always looking for different distilleries to work with, but we want to choose distilleries that are producing a high quality whiskey that we think will translate well. This beer specifically spent most of its time in Blanton's and Buffalo Trace barrels. There's also some Four Roses, which is kind of a standard barrel that we work with, and I think a really maybe underappreciated bourbon coming out of Kentucky, but it's always first use barrels. They're always emptied the week that we fill. We get those straight from Kentucky. They're shipped here, and then the beer goes straight into them. So with kind of that long-term aging, we're going to get that big, the big bourbon character you're looking for, but without being boozy. We make sure that those barrels are rinsed well. We're focused on getting wood and bourbon character out of the oak, not just pouring it onto whatever booze is still in the barrel. So it's not a boozy beer. It's very gentle. Although it is 12%, it's got so much complexity to it. And again, with aging, it's like anything. It's a patience game, and it's using our palates to determine when the beer is ready. So we watched this beer go through this great evolution where when it first goes into the barrel, it's this big kind of maybe a little bit hot, but very round, robust Imperial Stout. And then over time, we see different vanillins and character coming from the barrel. We see a big tannin spike. Usually we see a little bit of alcohol heat, but in patience and in time, the oxidative process of aging helps bring the beer back down and create something that's really round and balanced and just as drinkable as you can imagine one of these 12% beers being. So I mean, for me, the aromas are some of my favorite parts of this beer. You're getting firm toffee, burnt sugar, definitely like burnt dark brown sugar, a little bit of almost molasses. There's coffee notes in there, and again, coffee meaning almost like a diner coffee or like a darker roast, Sumatra or something. And then cacao nib, chocolate. I almost get a stone fruit or a kind of there's a fruitiness almost to the wood character, but then vanilla, licorice, and then bourbon. The big bourbon aromatics that kind of overwhelm everything. As far as how it drinks, just could not be any happier with how this beer turned out. For our first iteration of it in the market, it's balanced. It's not overwhelming. So, anyways, it's something you guys should see. We brewed a decent amount of this beer. We wanted to set a tone for what this barrel aging program would look like at Wicked Weed. This is the first of many things to come out of our clean barrel aging program. We're going to fill about 1,000 oak barrels this year, and this is just one of many brands that we look forward to bringing to you guys in the future. Anything you guys have seen at the pub that's been out of a whiskey barrel, some of our classics, the Old Fashioned and a few others are going to be coming at you too. So super excited about this beer. I think it's going to do great in the market. It's going to be North Carolina for the most part. I think we're going to send a little bit out of state, but the big thing is know that this is what we think the base of what a good barrel-aged whiskey beer is, and something that we're really proud of. So enjoy.